can see the sun, I'm rising up, I feel the love now. Oh, it's in my vision. Oh, it's gonna take me a little while just to get my head around this.
So today I'm here with Alexis. Alexis, tell us kind of about you, where you're from, what you do.
So I am from like 3 different places. I was born in Los Angeles, then I moved to Denver, and then I went to school in Arizona. And my family moved to Arizona when I was in college, so now I'm from Arizona, I guess. And I am the marketing director for Gunshy Martin, which is a Dallas and Houston-based personal injury law firm.
Awesome. And you've been in Dallas for how long?
5 years in 2 months.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite thing about Dallas so far?
Oh man, the Southern comfort food.
Because I've gained a lot of weight.
No, I think I just enjoy living in a city that isn't too big of a city where it's overwhelming like New York or San Francisco, but is a very workforce-driven city at the same time. Like if you go downtown, you see everyone in suits, and just the motivation for the working life, I guess, drives me. I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's something I moved to Dallas for, was kind of that like opportunity growth and seeing all kinds of like diversity. Something I was really excited about was like females and seeing a lot of female-owned businesses and female-driven organizations and things like that. I've tried really hard to get plugged into some of those. I found that it can be somewhat difficult. I don't know what your experience has been so far.
It's been difficult too. I can relate on that level.
I think I've struggled with like the authenticity of, there's a lot of women I see that say that they support other women, but when it comes down to it, they don't. Like, for example, we met the other day to catch up on marketing and just kind of talk shop, and you were like, I'm actually surprised you came and met me.
Yeah.
And that kind of was like,
say that.
first of all, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But it's like,
is.
what? Why is that what we're living in right now?
Yeah. And you know, when I was thinking about reaching out to you, I did have that thought like, oh, will this be awkward if I ask her to kind of come meet me, and like, so I can pick her brain in this aspect of marketing, and yeah, because I feel like I know a lot of women who say that they support, or promote women supporting women, but when it comes down to like actually networking or reaching out, it feels uncomfortable, or like you're kind of blown off sometimes. And so with you, obviously, that's not the case. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's difficult. It is.
Yeah. I know there was a woman who I had reached out to quite a few times because she was so big on like women promoting women. Someone actually suggested I reach out to her. I think I actually started going to her company and getting a service she provides. I asked her to meet for coffee a few times, and she was just always literally was like, I don't really have time.
Yeah.
So then a few months later, she invites me to an event she's hosting, but she wants me to promote it to my audience. And so I was running late. I get there, I'm kind of frazzled. I don't know anyone that's going to be there.
Yeah.
I sit down. It's not even a large room. Like, it's not much larger than this room we're in right now.
Yeah.
And she never once came and spoke to me, said hi to me, thanked me for coming. It was so uncomfortable. And I was like, here is this person that's talking about how like we need to be better supporting women, and we should be like linking arms, and like the only thing against women is other women, and like, it's really unfortunate.
Well, and the thing is too, is that, you would think, and at least this is how I think, is that like coming together and building together is always so much sweeter when you get those wins and can celebrate together. Like, it's super unfair to promote that, but then also kind of be selfish and like utilizing these resources, but not necessarily reciprocating them.
Right.
And that's what I've found is kind of common in the, right now I think there's a lot of women who are just so proud to be like, oh, like I'm a woman and I can do everything, and that's great. Like, I truly agree with that. But there's a lot of them that don't acknowledge the other women that have helped them or are helping them or, support them and aren't necessarily supported back. And I've seen that not just with myself, but with some of my friends too, regardless of where you're at. And I think at least the women that I've come across in Dallas, I've found that if you're at different stages in your life, whatever that may be, different stages of your business, whatever that may be, competition is a common little devil that comes in and really kind of, pulls apart at that whole women supporting women movement, which is a shame.
It is. And I think it's really unfortunate because if you were to actually link arms and run together, you'd see, one, there's enough of a pie for everyone.
Right.
There's probably more than enough for everyone.
Right. There's always enough to go around.
But you can also be more impactful when you link up. That's in any industry, anything you're doing. So it is very frustrating.
It is. It truly is. But, when you do find the girls and the women that truly are the voice behind that movement, I think it's something very special. And you do such a good job with, and I know I've mentioned that to you before, but you're always so genuine and so, you just kind of sat down and were like, yeah, so what do you want to know? Totally, let's, and then it wasn't just that, let's just have this conversation, and then it's kind of like, oh, well, we met up and we talked, so we just left at that, and we did what we were supposed to do. But it was like the next day, let's shoot content. Let's schedule this for the calendar. Let's, get in the studio and record some things. And it's kind of like, wow, this is really someone who is super supportive and wanting to build with others. So I'm thankful for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think for me also it's like building a sense of community, because I think that's part of the missing link, rather than just looking at it even from a professional standpoint.
Yeah.
I think actually finding women who you can build a sense of community with, whether it is professionally based or personally based or whatever, that's something I've struggled with in Dallas, is finding authentic women who are there for you. You've had a bad day, want to go grab a glass of wine, no judgment, let's hear what's going on.
Well, yeah, and I think, too many times do people think that they have to kind of put on this persona of just because I'm, I portray myself as this certain way that I have to act this way, and nothing in my life is wrong. Everything is great. And in the social world, it's so easy to, to post your morning workout that you killed, and you crushed a goal at work or whatever it was that day, but no one saw that you broke down in the parking lot for 10 minutes because you were so overwhelmed with, the line item list of what you had to do to just achieve that. And it is hard to find women that you can actually truly share those struggles with and have them, actually truly listen to you.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think even beyond interpersonally, on social, I think it's so important to share the struggles too. I've tried to do a better job at sharing the real stuff, even as unperfect as it is. And I think we need more of that, because I talked about in an earlier episode, you see all these girls, my little cousin, she's 13. She has this idea of what womanhood and what the lifestyle is supposed to be, and there's no struggle in that. There's no realness in that. There's no authenticity. She thinks it's just cute clothes, vacations, whatever, all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm we're portraying this ridiculous highlight reel, and that's causing so many issues because people are afraid to reach out and afraid to actually create connection and community and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm really trying really hard right now to go against, and I'm hoping to encourage other people to be a little more vulnerable also.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I told you, I struggle with being vulnerable. It took a lot for me to ask, because here I am, and if anyone were to look at me, okay, she's, the marketing director for her firm, and she runs a team, and she should have those answers. She should know everything, right? Because that's her position. But it's not, I don't know everything, and it's okay to say that you don't know everything. And when you have resources that may know more in certain areas, utilize those, come together, share the knowledge with one another. I was at one time in a conversation, I believe it was about SEO, and I was trying to speak to this girl about SEO stuff, and she's in marketing too, and she literally just looked at me and goes, yeah, I don't know anything that you're saying, and it just is making me feel like insecure, so I'm just like done with the conversation type of thing.
Oh.
And I was kind of like, okay, I'm just, talking shop with you. You're in the same industry.
Right.
I don't know some of the things that you do.
Right.
So I was kind of like, hey, I can, kind of explain this to you, kind of give you the basics, and then maybe you can tell me more of the event planning side of the marketing world and putting on these conferences and stuff, and it was just kind of like, dang, okay.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, everyone's got different skills that you can learn from, and that was like one of my first conversations that I had to try to have with someone in Dallas, work related.
Right.
And it was just kind of like, oh, that did not go the way that I wanted it to go. So truthfully, I don't think I've reached out much to any other woman since then.
That makes you a little shy for sure.
Google search bar is like my best friend, man, isn't that, you can pretty much Google anything, or reading books and whatnot, but I don't think I've reached out to anyone since then.
Yeah.
So, and then I finally was just like, no. I surround myself with my close group of friends that I have here that are that way, and having those conversations with them, I think, has made it a lot easier for me to try to just, build our little community that we have and keep it going.
Well, and if you can find people you can sit down and brainstorm over a glass of wine, or talk about like what's working and what's not, and like, oh, maybe I could take a piece of this away and you can take a piece of this away, like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
That kind of leads me, I don't know, I feel like just women don't like to see women they know, even if it's acquaintance, if it's a good friend, whatever. There can be a lot of, for some reason, insecurity and jealousy. Even with, as an example, I have seen there's a lot of like hometown haters, if you will.
Oh, yes, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, like so when I first moved to Salt Lake City, I was working in a marketing and sales position for a tech company, but I'd gotten out of Tulsa. I was really focused on building my business on the side, but I was focused on first building my brand, because I knew from a marketing perspective I needed to build my brand.
Right.
So I started doing that and just like really running for it. I also didn't have a ton of friends because I knew no one when I moved to Utah.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, so like I spent a lot of time alone, and my best friend told me she could not be my friend any longer because I was commenting on too many people's posts. I was liking too many people's posts. I was pretending to be someone I was, like just on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? She literally told me, if you don't stop, we can't be friends anymore.
And that's just like, like hard to hear too, because essentially it's your longest friend you've had, I'm assuming, from growing up and whatnot. And aren't those supposed to be the people that support you? I mean, you would think that your friends would be the first ones to support you rather than some random person on Instagram or Facebook or whatever platform you're on. And they're 99% of the time they're not.
Oh, it's insane. I just experienced a loss. Yeah. I had more Instagram friends reach out to me than some of my longest hometown friends.
That
people
like,
who
know you know.
Yes, people who I've driven back home for their showers or their babies or their whatever, and I'm like, you can't just be happy for me.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's so true. I, as you know, I've taken a stab at the blogging world, and I think the biggest thing with that is that I know I've been made fun of. You start taking photos and things are getting screenshot and people don't realize that you're seeing they're being screenshot and you just hear through the grapevine, oh, so-and-so said they saw this, or you're trying to do this, or you're trying to come off, this way. And it was just kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, dang, like this really puts a downer on what I'm trying to do here, because I'm enjoying it. But now I know that I've got all these people that know me from high school or college or my life after college in LA that are kind of saying, these things. And the funny thing about it too is, and I'm sure you know this, but when you are starting to blog, you hook up analytics to everything. Yes. So like, we can see everything. And the people who unfollow you, some of them shocked me. Like, some of them were people that I legitimately thought I was friends with. And they would just, she's, and I think it kind of goes to that. Not everyone likes to see you succeed type of thing. So if you're doing something and it's making them feel insecure in some type of way, they are going to exit. Right. And, who knows what that stems back to. But I definitely experienced that. And honestly, I just got to the point, it bothers you at first. Not that it bothers you, I think it makes you just feel a little uncomfortable to continue to push through doing things that you want to do. But then you just get to the point where you're like, I could care less, because the people who are reaching out to me for things or complimenting me on things, that those are the ones that outshine you anyways. Right. So
yeah, I can relate. I struggled with that in a big way. Yeah. It does make you gun shy. I remember after going forward, and then I heard some other like high school best friends making comments about how I thought I was something, or whatever, and it's like, so then I started kind of reanalyzing everything I was starting to say, and I was putting this weird filter, and I was like holding myself back. I was like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So I still struggle with it. I mean, I don't know that that's something that ever goes away.
I don't think it does. I really don't, because I still do too. And sometimes like I will rewatch the stuff that I post, or like reread the things that the captions I create, and I'm like, oh, should I say that? Should I not say that? Who cares? Because this is like really what I feel like, but am I, offending someone? And honestly, you just, at that point, just have to stay true to yourself, building your own brand, like you said. People are going to say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, when we were all growing up together, there was always the end goal to make something of yourself. So when you start making something of yourself, it shouldn't be a problem. Like you're and I definitely experienced that. And,
Or if you divert from what the rest of the clique is doing, like if they're in kind of a very symbiotic professional world, and your engagement with them benefits them in some way or whatever, I've noticed they will go ahead and stay plugged in with you. Yeah. But the moment you don't benefit them, they want nothing to do with you.
I have a funny story on that, actually. Okay, you'll probably relate to this. Some of my hometown haters have actually reached out to me and asked me to promote things for them. Oh, yeah. Because they're just trying to kick off this or that, or I'm selling lip sense now, or whatever it is. And I'm like, really? Really? Because I know like that you were one of the ones making fun of me for trying to be an influencer or whatnot. But you want me to take this product from you and promote it. So if you can benefit them, then you're no longer a problem, or or whatnot. I don't think that'll ever change.
So unfortunate. Well, and I think part of that, what I've learned is I used to hold on to all relationships really, really tightly. And I never wanted them to end. And I was like so protective over them and so loyal. And I think something that I've had to learn for myself is that not all relationships or friendships are meant for forever. Some are for a season or for a purpose, or there's a reason. That was really hard for me to understand. I'm very opinionated. That's my handle is Bailey's Babblings. It's literally, it's about what I think about things. Right. And I have a ton of people that reach out with such positive feedback. I share some very controversial opinions sometimes. And I was raised in the Bible Belt, came from the Bible Belt. I have very controversial opinions about religion now, after leaving and moving away and whatever. Yeah. I never talk to my friends typically about religion. I have posted some things like on an Instagram story or whatever, but I've never had a conversation and been like, oh, you shouldn't believe that, or you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't, never. If they post a Bible verse or they post something that's benefiting them religiously, I'm excited for them. I comment on it. I'm like liking the post. I'm telling them I'm happy for them. And one of my best friends, like for years, unfollowed me one day. And so I reached out to her about it. And she basically was like, it's disrespectful of you to share those opinions because they go against what I believe. And like all of these things. And I was like,
Yeah.
Okay. So I've had to learn that some friendships, and when I looked back at that friendship, honestly, it probably hadn't been a two-way friendship in a long time.
Right. You noticed some things that maybe you were turning a blind eye to
Right.
in the past. Yeah.
So now as I look back, I'm in a place where I can be like, okay, that friendship has outgrown its season.
Yeah.
It's still hard for me because I care about that person.
Yeah. No, I have a couple close friends, that I knew for a long time, and kind of just the same thing is just, there's some people that you can go down separate paths and you can always remain friends and there'll never be any animosity towards one another because, they respect what you think and you respect what they think and whatnot. And then there's certainly those friendships that when you go this way, they're going this way, and there's no, and like you said, you do evolve out of some things and you learn from every one of them. And it's sad, and sometimes like I'm still like, dang, that really, sucks that my friendship, of 12 years is not, here anymore. But at the same time, I've always found a way on like what I've learned from that, and to be, thankful for what it taught me or whatnot. But yeah, it's a bummer, especially, when I moved to Dallas, I had a group of friends that I really considered close friends, and I kind of evolved out of that, and that was really hard for me. And it wasn't necessarily that there was a messy falling out, right? It's just that I went this way, kind of started to voice, my viewpoint or I guess my way of life, and they stayed on this side, and it was just kind of like, all right, it is what it is. But I didn't foresee that, and I was friends with them for about 4 years, and that was my friend group here. Right. And so, kind of evolving out of that, and I went through the time where I'm like, dang, I feel like I have no friends all of a sudden, or I'm lonely, or, and I'm still, like, I'm not on messy terms with anyone, and I can, see them and say hi and catch up, but it's just, you evolve out of it.
Right.
And I think that's just, unfortunately part of it.
It is. Yeah. And I think something I'm learning right now, Caitlin, my friend, she and I were talking yesterday about, we've both been in Dallas for about 2 years, and we're struggling because I think both of us are seeking like a strong community of women around us. Yeah. But it's, again, hard to kind of find that like authentic friend group or community or whatever that looks like, whether it's personal or professional. And so that's something I'm like really getting passionate about right now. I don't know what my answer is to that yet, but it's something I'm working on.
Let me know when you find it, because I'd like to know.
I'm working on an idea that I have for it, kind of bringing a bunch of different groups together to be like, hey, why don't we start working together? We're all doing these things separately. Why don't we come together? Let's have vulnerable conversations. Let's have real conversations. Because I think a lot of the groups that exist right now are very surface level, which is fine. It serves whatever purpose they're looking for. But I think, again, kind of like we were talking about, like creating that vulnerable, open dialogue is really necessary. And I don't see a lot of that happening right now. And you can't create a true sense of community if you can't be vulnerable and open. Exactly.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. You hit the nail on the head with that one, because it's hard. I mean, I feel like it's hard in general making adult friends, if you will. It's like, it's not like school days or, college days where you can join a sorority too, and then you've immediately got friends. I mean, that's what I did. I have never really been in a position like this where I'm, have had to make friends. I mean, thankfully I have my sister here. We're only 13 months apart, so she's like my lifelong best friend. And we've always coincidentally, like we went to high school together, we went to college together. The only time I've lived apart from her was the 3 years after I graduated, and she moved to Dallas, and I ended up here with her. So, you know, and I've always had her, but, you know, high school, it's easy to make friends. College, it was easy to make friends. LA was really easy to make friends because I still had friends from when I was, you know, born there and grew up there until we moved to Denver. And then I went to University of Arizona, where 60% of the school is from California. So I had so many college friends move to LA after graduation. So I was kind of still in that little realm of, you know, what I had already built. Moving here, I didn't know anyone but my sister.
Right.
So really having to, for the first time ever, immerse myself in that, like, how do I make some friends, and how do I make genuine friends at that? And especially at being at a point in my life where, you know, I do want substance to a friendship. I don't just want someone to go out with or someone to get drinks with and party with, and that is hard. And there's truly no community that really brings, you know, all of the women who are seeking that in one place.
Right.
So,
I agree. Well,
so I think you're onto
hopefully.
something. I think you're onto something good.
We shall see. Hopefully it will work.
Yeah.
I think my takeaway from all of this is just that I hope women can be a little bit more vulnerable, can reach out to other women, can understand it doesn't need to be a competition or a jealousy match. Let's just come together.
Yeah, and definitely, and celebrate one another regardless of where you're at. Be happy for them and what they've achieved, because you're going to get to where you want to be too. Just have patience with yourself, but be encouraging and supportive throughout the whole process of your own goals and, you know, your friends around you. That's super important. People will always remember the ones who supported them. They will always remember that. And I certainly want to be someone remembered as supporting my friends. Likewise. So, you know, but yeah, I think if you can bring us all together, I'll be the first one there. I will be the first one waiting for everyone.
It may take some trial and error, but hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Well, thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Definitely.